season is not the most fun for anybody, including myself. Although I like talking about taxes and helping you save money in taxes, it's really not fun for anybody to have to deal with an extra thing to do every single, Q1. And one thing that I keep seeing come up for business owners is they end up in this pit of despair around March and April. They're on the floor with all their bank statements, trying to piece it all together and trying to get it in just in time to get this assignment in. It's a weird callback to having this paper that's due in April and waiting until the last minute to get it done, and then kind of imposing the stress on ourselves that's totally unnecessary. And today happens to be the extended tax deadline for individuals. So I felt it appropriate to proactively talk to you about how we can just eliminate any of this tax season stress next year. And it's not only, I'm going to tell you right now before you skip this and go, she's going to tell me to do my books. Yes, I am. but but most of what I'm going to tell you is things that are totally approachable, totally doable, and don't require you to do a whole lot of work. Sound good? All right, I'm going to tell you about it. So, number one, let's just get it out of the way. Yes, I'm going to tell you to do your books. But here's why. Because when you're doing your bookkeeping proactively and you're doing it in the year that we're actually in, then not only can you actually use the data, which I always say, but you're going to not have to do a ton of work to catch it up. If you're only doing, you could be spending hours and hours, days and days, weeks and weeks catching up a whole year of bookkeeping, or you could be spending a couple hours total catching up, the last month, the last few weeks of the year. So this is an optimal time to get yourself caught up to the point where you're 3/4 of the way done. And then it's just icing on the cake at the end, So it's a lot easier if you can embrace the idea of doing this in milestones. So if this is overwhelming to you to do your bookkeeping to prepare for tax time, the way to reduce the stress of this and to reduce the burden is not, oh my God, I have to do it all right now, or oh my God, I have to do it every week. Realistically, guys, this should take you maybe an hour every month. In theory, if you don't have a lot of going on, like if you don't have crazy inventory or sales tax stuff or payroll and all this stuff, if you're like kind of just starting out, this shouldn't take you more than an hour a month. I'm not kidding. And if you have, let's say this would take you longer because you're not really sure what you're doing or you have a complicated set of books, you could have a bookkeeper do it. But again, it would cost you, we'll say ballpark, the median bookkeeper range is around $500 a month. And it would free up your time, multiple hours of your time, which I would hope most people who listen to the show, your time is worth at least $500 an hour, or maybe $250 an hour, but that would be 2 hours of your time. So instead of spending 2 hours obsessing and stressing and creating all this negative emotion around it, you could just outsource it. So I want to just open you up to the idea of outsourcing, but also open you up to the idea that this is not as burdensome as you think it is, because what you may be used to doing is doing a year at a time. But when you're doing a month at a time, a quarter at a time, a week at a time, it's way more digestible. I mean, a week of bookkeeping, 15 minutes. If you could do 15 minutes every Friday at 5 p.m. and be done with it for the whole year, it's not that bad when you think about it. Just giving yourself a little task to do that every week, every other week, every month. I mean, start with a few installments during the course of the year. Start with maybe 3 or 4 installments of doing it as a project. But in certain seasons, you could definitely do that. And you can change the frequency. You don't have to do it consistently either. You could do it every week for Q1 and then Q2, change it up, I think that we put too much pressure on ourselves to that this is like a huge deal or this is some type of huge burden. And I'm telling you, it is not. It is really simple. And it's just a matter of getting comfortable going back through your transactions and knowing what the hell you spent your money on. And it may require you to do a little bit of research. But here's why it's so important. And this is why it will reduce your stress level, because it becomes stressful when it's time consuming. And it becomes time consuming when you wait too long to pick it up. Because when you wait too long, going back, let's just say we're in October right now. And if I were to ask you what you spent for this one credit card swipe you made in January, and I'm like, what was that? And you're like, I don't freaking have any idea. Why? Because it was so damn long ago. And if you're used to, having things more in real time, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier when you're looking at what did you spend your money on last week versus 6 months ago? It's huge, huge difference. So I want you to just kind of open your mind up to, hey, maybe I should just like create a habit to get this done a lot sooner. That will alleviate a ton of your tax season stress. So bookkeeping is paramount always. But I think that a lot of messages, even I've shared with you and other professionals have shared with you, we keep saying, do your books, do your books, do your books. And